Good evening. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has declared that the government will not socialize any debt and Jamaica will not socialize the failure of our banks and urged them to be prudent and protect their customers. The Prime Minister was speaking at the annual Jamaica Stock Exchange Capital Markets Conference at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel on Tuesday, January 24.
The government will not socialize any debt, and we will not socialize the failure of our banks to be prudential and to protect their customers. Were we to do that, it would send a very bad signal to the banks and investment houses that they can be negligent and expect the bank to cover their negligence. That will not happen. That got us into a crisis which took us decades to get out of, which made the entire country poor. What must we do with crises? We must prepare for them, and we must use the opportunities that they give, which is what we're doing now, to strengthen the regulations. But there's one other thing that we must do with crises. Crises repeat themselves, and we must learn from them.
Mr. Holness's comments come amid the investigation, which is currently underway into the alleged fraud at Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. Prime Minister Holness emphasized that there will be absolutely no political interference and nothing will be done to prevent from getting to the truth of the matter.
I want to use this platform to say that there will be absolutely no political interference, no political cover, no association. We want to get to the truth of this matter, to uncover it and to expose it, and to bring those responsible to account, and to secure justice for the victims. So I have given directions regarding transparency, and you would have seen today entities making known their connections or association so that the public can make their own determination. For far too long, there is a view that somewhere, somehow, there is a political figure lurking in the background preventing the full force of the law from operating. So if there is one other learning from this, is that there is no such political succor, protection, or diversion taking place. The full force of the law in this matter must be brought to bear. If we don't do that, then our market, our free financial market, our free and competitive market, which is what distinguishes Jamaica from other markets, financial markets in the region.
And as Mello TV continues to track the Stocks and Securities Limited alleged fraud saga, the National Housing Trust, the NHT, has issued a press release to provide information to the public on the nature of its relationship with SSL. In the press release, the NHT noted that SSL in the past formed part of a pool of brokerage institutions used by the NHT to purchase shares and stocks on the equity market. The NHT says it has a brokerage account which reflects units purchased by SSL on behalf of the NHT in 3 securities listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, the JSE. The NHT has independently verified the units held in these securities with the Jamaica Central Securities Depository, which as of January 16, 2023, were valued at 230 million Jamaican dollars. The NHT added that it does not consider its investment in these 3 securities held through the brokerage account as exposed or in any way compromised. A handing over ceremony was held for the new social housing program, the NSHP, at Rosemary Castle in Gregory Park, St. Catherine today. NSHP was established in 2018 by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who is also the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, as a housing component for the HOPE program. The program was developed to improve the housing condition of the country's poor and disadvantaged population by providing quality, affordable, and sustainable housing. Prime Minister Holness, in his address, stated that while he understands the history and the social issues which have created these communities, the government has initiated plans to upgrade and regularize these communities that have emerged unplanned and illegally.
It is not the intention of the government to come and throw people off and to dislocate them. We understand the history and the social pressures behind how these communities have been formed. But these communities cannot continue to exist forever. The people who live there want to see their communities transformed. No matter how you hear them talk and behave. They don't like the zinc fence. They don't like the chuck-up living. They don't like the fact that they don't have regular water and light and sewage and proper roads. But they want to be assured that in any transformation of the community that is going to happen, they are not going to be thrown out and disregarded and treated badly. No, this government is going to ensure that we have a program, and we have started, to regularize and upgrade these communities that have emerged irregularly, unplanned, and illegally.
Member of Parliament for St. Catherine East Central, Orlando Terrelong, in his address, highlighted that the program makes a difference for the people he represents.
It makes a difference who represents the people. This new social housing program started by the Honorable Prime Minister is giving homes, is putting keys into the hands of ordinary Jamaicans like Movita. Ordinary Jamaicans who are the descendants of an enslaved people who almost 200 years ago, when they left the plantations, did not know where they were going to go. That is how our informal settlement started, what people call ghetto or inner city, etc. Well, today, Movita's ancestors are smiling upon her because she is no longer living in that home. Prime Minister, were you to see Movita's old house, Prime Minister? And this is the vision that you had when you started the social program. When the rain fell, we had to go and get tarpaulin to help her put on the things so we could stop the leaking. Tajay is here as well. They'll be like taking the water out of our yard. At one point, we have to put the bed on the blocks, Prime Minister. I mean, and this program, I can't imagine any Jamaican who would seek to criticize such a program that is bringing hope, prosperity, and dignity to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica.
Former Member of Parliament for Hanover Western, Ian Hales, could be the subject of a major police investigation based on recommendations from the Office of the Contractor General, the OCG. In a report tabled in Parliament yesterday, the OCG said, based on an investigation that was launched in April 2015, it found what it described as prima facie evidence of forgery in a sketch plan which was submitted to the then Hanover Parish Council by Mr. Hales and his wife. Pursuant to Sections 3, 5, and 9 of the Forgery Act of 1942, in 2015, the OCG launched an investigation into the alleged construction of several buildings without the approval of the Hanover Parish Council by Mr. Hales, who was then the Member of Parliament for Hanover Western and a former Minister of State in the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change during the PNP administration. The OCG said its decision to undertake the investigation was further prompted by an anonymous allegation, which it received in the form of a typewritten note along with accompanying attachments. The investigation was completed in 2017, but Mr. Hales went to the Supreme Court and sought an injunction to bar the tabling of the report to Parliament. The former MP applied to the court for declarations and orders in relation to the report arising from the investigation, where he obtained a temporary injunction restraining the publication of the OCG report until the full hearing of the judicial review. However, last December, the Supreme Court dismissed the application for leave to apply for judicial review, paving the way for the report to be tabled in Parliament. Detectives assigned to the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, CISOCA, are seeking the public's assistance this evening in locating a witness who is vital to a case currently before the St. Catharines Circuit Court. She is Lucretia Powell, whose last known address is King Street in St. Catherine. Powell is scheduled to appear before court on Wednesday, February 1, 2023. Lucretia Powell, or anyone knowing her whereabouts, is being asked to contact the St. Catherine North CISOCA office at 876-984-2305, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. The Ministry of Finance is being urged by Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, TODS, to determine what will happen to the $200 million allocated to the public transportation sector as part of a revolving loan program in February 2022. A few months after TODS called on the government to assist with a loan window of $500 million, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark announced a $200 million revolving loan fund for the island's struggling public transportation sector, at the start of the 2022-2023 budget debate in Parliament. The Development Bank of Jamaica, the DBJ, according to the Finance Minister, would distribute the funds to a number of microfinance institutions for lending to participants in the sector. The DBJ noted that the funds were sent to about 10 financial institutions starting in June 2022, but as of today, there have been no reports of loan recipients in the sector. The transportation operators are requesting information from the Finance Minister and the Development Bank of Jamaica on what has happened to the funds, if the funds were lent on the open market, and they need to know why. Todd says the industry is currently in serious trouble and need an immediate bailout, as the funds will not only be used to acquire replacement parts for their vehicles, but also help to pay outstanding traffic tickets. And those are the stories making the news this evening. Thank you for tuning in to Mello TV Evening News. I'm Nicole Hales. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.